the Roadshow podcast.
How do I look at headphones? Ooh, sexy. Normally when you have the big lick of hair.
And the massive haircut, so I was just fucking cut it down.
Yeah. You got to match the head with the body.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all shredded and shit. Brandon Willington, how are you, bro?
Fantastic, how are you?
Very, very well, very well. Now, you have been doing a lot recently via YouTube that I have not fucking... Like, I can't scroll past, like, any of your videos because you're just constantly posting.
Yeah.
What is going on there? Why the urge to grow YouTube?
You know, I thought I wasn't busy enough running 2 different companies, and so I thought, you know what, I'll start a career as a struggling YouTuber.
Okay.
Because I have plenty of time, and I've plenty of spare time, and what better way to spend my time than posting videos for free on the internet that take me hours to make. So...
Yeah, I've been there.
I like, because I remember we talked about me figuring out TikTok the last time I was on your podcast 2 years ago, and that was really quick to work out. YouTube is a grind because the platform's been around for so long, and I'm dissatisfied that I haven't really cracked it yet. I feel like I'm still gaining momentum now.
Ooh, dissatisfaction.
And so I was just like, man, this fucking algorithm, I can't work out how to build a following here, and so I was just pretty consistent with it. At first, I was trying some business stuff. That's really tough to crack. And then also, I haven't been doing business as long as some other people that are on the platform. Tried to do the bodybuilding thing. That's also super competitive because I'm not fucking huge, which is what's required to go big.
You're not a Bumstead or anything.
Yeah, I'm not a Sam. So like,
yeah.
And then I got a piece of advice from Jai, who's I'll call him out. Jai, who was on the Elevate retreat with me, and he said something that landed with me. He said, "You're the best coach to the person you just were," and I went, "Oh,
wait, say that again?
Sense. You're the best coach to the person that you just were."
Whoa, that's real.
Well done, Jai.
That is very real.
I don't know if I've told him that it was his fault that I'm pursuing YouTube now. but I started posting DJ stuff, and that did better than anything else that I posted. And then by pure coincidence, I was like, okay, well, let's try a club promoter one. And it just outperformed everything else that I ever posted.
Right.
And so I kept doing that, kept working. And to test it again, I tried posting another DJ video, and it didn't perform as well as the club promoter stuff. So I'm like, okay, definitely the club promoter stuff is working. And I did it for ages, and we still do events now. And I'd hate for the lessons that I had to learn the hard way to go to waste. And so if I can just put them on the internet for people to just learn for themselves for free, I think that's a valuable use of my time anyway. I'm not monetized. I'm close, though. I'm close to getting monetized. So I don't make any money out of it. I don't sell anything. I don't have any courses. People do offer to pay for my time, and I have done some calls for YouTube, but the thing is, like, my usual consulting rates is, like, I'm usually like $500 an hour. These kids don't have $500 to pay for it. You know, when you're a club promoter, you're not making a whole lot of money, and I want to help them anyway. So what I've decided to do instead, I actually figured this out, it's really good, is I just tell them, like, bro, just donate to a charity of your choice. It can be as much as or as little as you like. Just send me a screenshot for proof. I'll hop on a call for 30 minutes. It's fine. And so they can donate as much or as little as they like. One kid, he was like 16 in Indonesia. He donated like, I think it was like, when I converted it from the Indonesian currency, it was only like $10, but it was like a third of his bank account. I'm like, bro, props to you. I'll do the call. I had someone else donated $110 to a dog shelter. Someone else donated $310 to a cancer charity. Someone else donated $100 to another education company as well for $100.
And you're doing consultation in lieu of the charity donation.
Yeah, so I say, look, just send me a screenshot and I'll do the call for you, right? And then at least because the other thing as well is I don't need the money, it's fine, and I hope that doesn't sound egotistical, but I don't need the $100 for the call, right? And so at least they've got some buy-in as well, because if I just do calls for free with everyone, just everyone's going to take up the opportunity. I'm going to get booked out, and they're also not really going to be invested into the call. And so at least if they can, I've always found that whenever you put money into something, you're going to listen, right? If you spend $10,000 on a course, you're going to do what the course fucking tells you to do. But if it's free, you're not going to listen as much. So at least I have a little bit of financial buy-in as well, and I don't need the money, so at least it can go somewhere useful, and they'll pay attention to the call and then perhaps get some results out of it because they're a little bit invested into the call.
Yes.
And the only other thing I ask is they don't need to, but if it makes me posting content on YouTube a little bit easier, because I can just record the call. I can find a couple of clips. Maybe there's a couple of shorts in there. Maybe there's an entire video in there. I ask them, hey, do you mind if I use this? Or I can not record at all if you'd like. That's perfectly fine. And then at least I can churn out a little bit more content pretty consistently, so I can build up a little binge library. So if someone finds one of my top of funnel YouTube videos, they can binge watch some other stuff.
Okay, so it's loading for a career change. If you zoom out and look at the overall, are you looking at being more showing people how to, like you've done that with marketing, right? And self-marketing is probably the thing that you're still doing, but you're niching out as a personalized figure rather than having a company backing it.
Yeah, correct. I think that like I was saying, I think it would be a waste if I was to spend all of ages 18 to 24 or 25 whenever I quit nightlife learning all of these things the hardest way possible and not share them. And then I've noticed that there's obviously
76 vodkas isn't that hard.
And I noticed that I get at least, it's actually increased a lot now. I get 2 or 3 messages a day or emails. At the start, when I started posting club promoter stuff, I get like an email or a message a week from someone that mentioned they came from my YouTube asking for advice or asking a question. I'm like, okay, that didn't happen with anything else. And then now...
No TikTok, no other platform?
No, nothing else. So it found it from the YouTube, which makes sense because YouTube is the second biggest search engine, second to
And
Google.
people go to YouTube because they want to see face value and they have how-to videos.
Exactly right.
Yeah, correct.
And I can see a lot of my top of funnel, I suppose, viewer acquisition comes from search. So they have a problem and they're searching for the solution, and I've popped up with hopefully what is the solution for them. And so the feedback I got was not just from the views, but also just the people asking questions. And so I've got a private online community, which is just club promoters. It's you have to DM me for an invite. I don't link it anywhere. I don't run ads to it. That it just says in the description, or sometimes I mention in a video, like if you want an invite, DM me. And that way I actually had 12 people in there before I even posted anything at all.
Right. Okay.
And so I put like, there's this videos I want to upload that like aren't YouTube thumbnail click worthy. It's like how to do SMS marketing for an event or something like that. It's really difficult to come up with a, cool title and thumbnail combination. I mean, yeah, you're on YouTube as well. We're in the same space. We're trying to do the same thing, trying to fight for that click and trying to get a 10% CTR.
Yes.
It's difficult, right? So the videos I have to make have to broadly apply so that I can get a higher click-through rate. And then once someone finds me from that, then I can niche down somewhere else on like another platform and help them out that way, which is also one of the benefits of doing these calls with people, not just for them. Like if I'm the student in a coaching call, I'll get more out of it because there's diminishing returns in education with pre-recorded or pre-written material. So for example, when I first got into business, and I hate the word entrepreneurship, every book I read, everything was new. So everything was exciting. Doesn't matter what book I read, I learnt something. But eventually there's diminishing returns from that. So if I pick up a book now, a lot of it is going to be repeating things that I've already learnt from other books or adaptations of things that I've already learnt previously. And so that's why now whenever I try and learn something, I have to find a coach. Or at least I probably have to find a coach.
Yes.
So rather than learning, this is the basics of sales, I go, I have a sales script. I need to make this sales script better. Can you show me how your sales script works?
Do you think that that's probably the reason as to why there's so many fucking development books? Because people understand a niche that's maybe some other person has missed and being like, oh, I can sell this in a different way.
Yeah, actually really interesting you brought that up because it actually links to when I was trying to start the YouTube because I want to do personal development content, right? You're really into that as well. But personal development is just so broad that you need to start really niche. So for example, if I was to do, like if you want to do personal development content, and that's just the label we put onto it, you need like 4 million subscribers. But if I was to do personal development for club promoters, they see that title and thumbnail combination go, oh, this one's for me because it resonates with me. But if I was just to do personal development, they see only have 1,000 subscribers and only getting 150 views in a couple of days. They're like, oh, I don't know who this person is. Yes. So that's why you looked at like the Ali Abdals and all the other big YouTubers with a couple of million subscribers, right?
Yes.
And so the smaller you are, the more niche your message has to be. And as my subscriber base grows and as your subscriber base will grow alongside us, the messaging can get broader and broader and broader, right?
Yes. One of my friends that I had into the podcast 2 days ago, his name's Lockie. He owns Perth Dude Food. He started a podcast called No Crying in the Cool Room, a hospo podcast. If that's not the most niche thing you've ever fucking heard,
Yeah.
because it targets people that have experience, because you know how fucking stressful hospo is.
No crying.
No crying in the cool room.
That's. I'm gonna go. That's funny. You know, it's great because I actually post. I'm hoping this whole episode doesn't come up, or at least not the start of this episode. It comes up like a massive plug for my YouTube. I'm just hoping it's useful for
No,
people.
plug away. Fuck it.
But the most recent video I posted, I said how the topic of the video was how to create more engagement on your social media for a nightclub event. I said the easiest way is just know the inside jokes that your patrons make. That's an inside joke that people in hospitality make. No crying in the cool room. Like I worked as a DJ. I was a service person when I first started, but like I get that joke. And so I go, oh, that podcast is for me.
Yes.
Right? Whereas
it made me think about my podcast, because if you think about it, I'm an entertainment podcast. I'm an interview show. I'm a podcast for the everyday man, right? But what does that mean? Am I too blasé, not niched out enough because it just looks like an every other podcast, or do I just dig in on that? Do I say I'm a podcast for men that's for the everyday man to be the better man? I don't know.
I think it can come down to the messaging and the content that you post. So, for example, the reels that you post, the short form content that you decide to post. If there's a consistent theme across all of that, at least as people are scrolling through your Instagram reels, they can piece together what your brand is. But if you're posting about, let's say you post, I'm just going to perhaps not you as an example, but like you post about soccer here, you talk about esports here, you talk about crypto here. When someone scrolls through your Instagram, it might be a little bit hard to piece together what that customer avatar is. But for example, at least what I'm trying to do now by posting more consistently is like if you scroll through my Instagram feed, it doesn't mention that I used to be a club promoter. It doesn't mention that I used to be a DJ. But if you scroll through my reels, you can figure out that if you're a DJ or a club promoter, or you work in nightlife or a music producer, this is probably for you.
Yes.
I was talking about this on another podcast that I was on, where the kid was explaining how he ran an event. The first one went really well, and then the second one, he felt like it actually went well, numbers-wise. Quantity of patrons was good, but he felt like quality, not that they were bad people, it was just like the wrong vibe of people were there. And I said, what you've probably made the mistake of is go back through all of your posts and ask yourself two questions. Does this encourage my ideal patron to come? And secondly, does it discourage my unideal patron from coming? So if someone that you don't want coming to this event for whatever reason, like looks at your post, do they go, oh yeah, this is for me? Or do they go, oh, this is obviously for the niche house people or the niche R&B people or something like that?
Right.
And then you just do that kind of, am I using the phrase litmus test correctly? But you do that kind of test in your head. Does it encourage the people I want? Does it discourage the people I don't want?
Okay. Litmus. Was that right?
I think litmus is if it's like self-aware or something.
Right.
Can you Google it for me? Look it up, Jamie.
Fuck off. It is a test for acidity or alkalinity using litmus.
Completely.
Well, it's kind of true, right? Because you like acidic people are the people that you don't want there.
Close enough.
It's
I'll
close
take
enough.
it. I appreciate your support.
No worries, brother. Look, I understand what you're saying, and to reflect on my attitude towards it, maybe I have been a little bit more sporadic, and it's easier to go for the laugh than it is to be niched out. A lot of people will just tend to post what everybody else is posting, and I'm fucking guilty of this myself, than be targeted, be aware of what you're doing.
Well,
have a game plan.
Actually, here's a point in support of what you've been doing. And I've mentioned on a couple of other podcasts where people always focus on, most people stuff up at getting started. They just don't get started. And they put all their effort into this first post and go, I'm going to make the perfect first post. I'm going to go viral on the first go. I'm like, motherfucker, you don't even know what viral is yet. You haven't worked it out. Sure, you can look at other ones that have gone viral and look at the surface level metrics, but you don't truly know. Until you get the volume up, you have no feedback because you have a sample size of 0 views, no one's watching your shit, you don't know what works right. And so I think you've actually approached the podcast in the right way, where you're up to, I'm on episode 109, is that what you were saying beforehand? 109 episodes. Most podcasts don't get past 10, right? You have a really large volume of data that you can look at. And so perhaps what you could do is, now that you actually have a statistically significant sample size of data, you can go through your YouTube, you can sort by most popular. You can look at the click-through rates, you can look at the titles, you can look at the theme of guests, you can look at the questions that went viral in your shorts and go, okay, which ones are performing best? And then in the cross-section of the Venn diagram are things I want to talk about and things that my existing audience already enjoys based on the data and the numbers that I have accumulated over 109 episodes, which fuck all people do on their podcast because they're lazy, unlike Jacob, right? So,
Well, I just like doing it. That's it.
Exactly,
I could
right?
have nobody listening. I don't give a fuck. It allows me to vent.
Yeah, but you've got enough volume now that you can probably look at your content, go what worked, what didn't work, and what did I like doing, and then try and niche down a little bit more. But if you were to do that from the start, you probably would have fucked it up. Like with my YouTube, I was like, okay, business is going to be it. Didn't work. Bodybuilding is going to be it. Didn't work. DJing, closer. Club promoter, I think I've got it.
Yes.
It took me 100 videos, I think.
Yes. It's interesting because you've done that path before. When you were in that path, you felt like it was the right thing at that time, but then you realized it was an unhealthy way to do it. Because I've heard this story before. But now you're like, oh, wow, I can mitigate the pain of it for others.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, I think my old YouTube intro used to be a lot of these lessons were either physically, emotionally, or financially expensive. I'd rather you just I'll go first, and then there's a snake there, there's a fucking pit there.
Yeah.
That's gonna fuck you up.
Yeah.
Don't drink too much.
Yeah, cirrhosis of the liver's over here. Yeah, well, dude, it's the. I don't think you would have the authority or the sustainability of action for that long if you hadn't been through that yourself. Like a lot of people that go through struggle can be like, hey, don't do this.
Yeah.
But the people that are like everyday, like, what do they call them? 5 second gurus.
Yeah,
they're like, don't do this. But
Yeah.
you're like, you're faking it, bitch.
Yeah.
I'm watching you. You're
Yeah.
faking it. Yeah.
That's like my content. My rule is I can only speak on things that I've done.
Yeah.
And so I'm not pretending like I have done the ads for music festivals, but I'm not pretending like I've done the ads for every single music festival ever. I've never claimed to be the go-to person. I've just spoken on things that have worked for me in the past. Hopefully it will work for you. It worked for me a lot. And I'll share the things that didn't work as well. I've never claimed to be an expert. There's absolutely, definitely a lot of people more qualified or more experienced than me to talk on some of this stuff. But I'm just talking about things that worked or didn't work for me. I only share things that are true, that have worked or not worked for me. I don't try and claim to be anything big or anything like that. It can sometimes be perceived that I am because that's just how social media works. You see someone on a stage talking to someone to go, oh, this person's the expert. That's just the subconscious thing that naturally triggers when you see someone standing with a microphone and everyone else is sitting and paying attention to them.
Yeah, but you've also had to become the guy that does that.
Well, yeah, you also had to be the person that gets invited. It doesn't mean that you're the best person on the planet to talk about it, but at least in the little circle that I'm in, the little pond that I'm swimming around in, I was the person that was qualified and was available at the time.
Yeah, that's a big hitter, right?
Yeah.
And environmentally, you're the closest thing around to that.
Yeah.
But
Geographically,
geographically, yes. No, that's probably what I meant more. Because if you look at like LA or something, you have how many fucking promoters to every single fucking club?
100%. And there's a lot of club promoters there that have achieved things that I never even fucking came close to.
Yeah.
Even when I'm talking now, I did a call with a kid in New York, and just understanding their scene and how that all works, it was just a new thing to me. And so I had to, on the call, work it out with them on the call. I couldn't say, oh yeah, this is the exact solution. But at least I have a thought process that we can walk through together, and he can actually say, oh, actually, no, that doesn't work. And go, okay, cool, what about this? And we can talk through that together, which is sometimes why having that conversation is useful.
Yeah. I think if you look at like starting countries, first finances come through. Australia's a very young country. First we have like industry. Now we have economic gains because money and mining and stuff. And then you have the young people come through and they want to party.
Yeah.
And then if nobody's teaching them, we have a stagnated, group of people that own clubs and promote certain events, and it never grows. It's just every now and again there's a new event and it's fucking It's okay for that one event, and then it goes to trash because people are monetizing.
Yeah.
You know, people just want more, and they'll take from quality and push it towards quantity to bring up numbers of tickets. And well, look at that one that was going to come to Perth. What was that one? And they cancelled it altogether. Is it Groove in the Moon?
I think it was Groove in the Moon.
Yeah.
For someone that works pretty heavily in the advertising and event space, I don't get a lot of ads for events, which is funny because it's a bit like high school. It's like I'm just not getting invited to the party all over again.
But the fact is that not inviting you leaves out all these people. You have the biggest friend group. You have 30 million people friend group.
It's funny. There's people, I'm like, I'll message friends like, what are you guys up to this weekend? I'm like, gone to, I don't even know what the title is. I'm like, gone what? They're like, yeah, aren't you coming? I'm like, what is it? They're like a music festival. It's like 10,000 people going. I'm like, no one told me.
Yeah.
I usually run the ads.
Consistently finding out that you've been left out it's a sign of growth, I think. Because when you're constantly partying and like everyone wants to be, oh, Brandon, he's the guy that always comes to the party.
Yeah.
If you're not being invited, it's probably because you're doing some cool shit. Or you're boring.
Yeah, I'm pretty boring. I mean, the other thing is,
I've seen the car, bro. You ain't boring.
I mean, maybe actually, this is funny. Maybe I'm getting to this age. I remember, I won't say his name, but someone that was DJing at a venue I was playing at was saying that he wasn't getting targeted by the ads. He doesn't see any marketing, and someone there said, hey, we don't target your age demographic. It's the most brutal. Maybe I'm getting to that age. I'm 28 now. The ideal demographic is typically 18 to 24. Maybe I'm out. Maybe I'm not the target demo anymore. Or they spend less money on me. But also, I block my newsfeed anyway, so it's pretty hard to get an ad in front of me.
Yeah. You can block your newsfeed?
Yeah, get the newsfeed eradicator Google Chrome extension. So when you check Facebook, it will come up with some random Yoda quote or something like that. It just blocks it.
Instead of having a newsfeed?
Yeah, instead of having a newsfeed.
So you stop scrolling?
Stop scrolling.
Can you stop that for Instagram?
Yeah, you can do it for Instagram and YouTube as well. So it will block your recommended videos, but your subscriptions will work, or your search results.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Fuck. I feel like they need that for like TikTok and shit.
Yeah, I think. Well, actually, if you want an alternative for your mobile phone, use the Opal.
Turn it off.
I love turning off my phone. I'll tell you a story about a flight afterwards.
Okay.
But the Opal app. Oh, you'll like this actually. So Opal, you know how you can just set a screen lock time. So if you hit 2 hours of screen time in a day, it will just like block everything.
You can unlock it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, you can unlock it for 5 minutes and things like that, or you can just turn it off. But the problem with that is there's apps on your phone that are genuinely useful. And so what you can do is you can set sessions. And so for, let's say, 5 a.m. until 8 a.m., I can't get work stuff. It's just fitness apps. And then from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m., there's no social media. It's just Slack, email, anything, banking, anything that I use for work. And then you can set difficulty modes as well. So easy is like, if you wait 3 seconds, you can take a break for 15 minutes. Medium is like, all right, the wait times to take a break are going to go up. And then hard mode is like, you got to delete this app and then reinstall it.
Whoa.
And so what I'll do is the last...
Opal's the Chinese government.
Yeah, so like the last Friday of every month is my like planning day, and I take the Thursday off too to just kind of clear my head and not have any notifications. So that Friday, it's on the hardest mode. I'm just sitting in the library or something like that trying to work, and it's like impossible to fucking contact me. Yeah, and you can make it for like different apps. You can just like select the different apps, but on the notifications thing, this is the third podcast in a row brought this up in, so maybe there's some trauma here. But when my phone goes off, it's just catastrophes. Like even when friends call me, like when Rory Lowe calls me, comedian, funny man calls me,
hoping to have a laugh. No,
I know it's not a new bit that he wants to try on me. He calls me once. He goes, "Can you help?" I'm like, "What is it now, Rory?" That's how I answer.
Well, you got to look at your phone more like the mayor's office kind of phone. You know, like how Batman, there always gets a phone call from the mayor. That type shit. That's what you need, man.
It's a bit like, maybe I have a red telephone on my desk. I'm going to get one of these old red telephone. Yeah, that'll be really good fun. But he calls me and he goes, "Can you do the ads for this event?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, of course." So when's the first one? He goes, "It was Tuesday when he calls me." He goes, "It's like Friday."
Fuck me.
I'm like, how many tickets do we need to sell? He's like, 200.
Oh, bro. This is...
You're like a month late. Anyway,
You got it done though, I'm imagining.
yeah, I did it. And then it's sold out. But whenever my phone goes off, it's just always emergencies. I remember I was up in Sophie and Joseph, my ad specialists, where we had to fly to Melbourne for these workshops we were doing. And you're up in the air, you can't, one, you're on airplane mode, and two, you can't get reception even if you turn it off. As soon as we landed, I was like, I don't want to do it. Airplane mode off. Just catastrophe notifications, you know.
Really?
It's just like all I deal with, and that's with like
there was a fire at your parents.
it's just Slack notifications. This gone wrong. This has happened. Blah 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 blah. And it's just
that's a sensibility of importance, though, right?
Yeah.
Because you're there to put out the fires. If you weren't there, you wouldn't get notifications.
Exactly. And like I try to take my own advice, and the advice I try to give to other people is you need to reframe stress as a symptom to growth, right? So,
Ooh, I like that.
So.
Put that on a t-shirt.
There's some Tony
And then on the back, right, I'm stressed as fuck.
I have a beanie that says I'm stressed, actually. It's really funny. But I try to reframe stress so that it's more of a symptom of growth and you lean into it more. There's some Tony Robbins stuff that I like. Not all of his stuff, but this one really landed with me. And he was talking about how he would have two different performers right before they went on stage to a really big audience. And one of them is going, I'm sweating and my hands are shaking and I'm nervous and so I think I'm going to have a panic attack. And the second one is going, I'm sweaty, my hands are shaking and I'm nervous, so I know I'm going to have a really good show.
Whoa.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And all they did is they just flipped that switch in their mind and went, well, this is stressful, but the thing I'm going towards is more valuable, right? And so trying to think of it that way. So whenever I'm like, maybe I ask for too much stress into my life because I've probably overcorrected. I have a proclivity to do that. And so whenever I'm stressed, I'm like, cool, good. Yeah. Try and reframe it that way rather than going, the whole world's collapsing on top of me.
It's better to do that than just be lazy.
Yeah, but you can overcorrect one side or the other side a little bit too much.
Yeah, well, look at trans people.
Media, it's just completely overcorrect. Like a happy medium would be nice for me. I never do things in halves. I remember when I was getting ready for the boxing fight, I hate running. I'm so bad at it. I just get really bad shin splints. Terrible, very weak tibialis. Is that the front thing?
The front, yeah.
Correct. And
your tibialis anterior, the front muscle, you can stretch that by like sitting like you're about to suck a dick on like if you.
Yeah, I can't even do that. I'm awful at swingers parties, and so.
It's the fascia underneath the muscle that grips onto the bone, and as you're tightening, it stretches.
Yeah, I literally, I was trying to stretch like that. I could barely bend my knees because it was so painful, and I always get shin splints. But my coach was saying you need to go run because you need to improve your cardio for this fight. So I was like, okay, well I'll just do what you say because you've done this before. And so I just did hill sprints for like 30 minutes. And
that's not good.
Yep. So my point exactly, just completely overcorrected.
Okay.
Got to boxing training the next day, and I'm like, we might need to do some pad stuff. And he's like, what do you do? And I'm like, I just explained what I did. He goes, yeah, you never really fucking do anything in halves now. No. I don't know why, but when Steve said that, it was Steve Kennedy, kick-ass, and he said that, I'm like, huh. Reflected on my entire life and everything that's brought me here today.
It seems like the best way to do things, though. It's the most fun way to do things.
It's definitely the most interesting.
Yeah, you learn the most.
You'll learn fast.
You learn fast. Yeah, exactly.
You fuck up a bunch of things and go, so that's how you don't do it. I think it's a quote from, I'm hoping I get this right because I'm going to look like an idiot if I don't.
Completely wrong already.
I think it's Thomas Edison. Okay. Was he the one that invented the light bulb? I hope so because it's on the internet. Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
So he was asked when he goes, you failed making a light bulb 1,000 times. How do you feel about that? He goes, no, I didn't fail making a light bulb. I found 1,000 ways to not do it. Think about that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think about that sometimes too. Like the KFC, Colonel Sanders dude, he was 67 when he sold the... when he came up with the idea, and I'm pretty sure it took him 4 years to sell it, but he got 1,009 no's or something like that. Tony Robbins was talking on it. And I was like, whoa, like this guy was old as fuck. But like at that age, what else are you going to do? Yeah. Like if you get a no, you're like, I've heard shit all my life. I was a fucking colonel in the army. I've been shot at. Like I can take a no.
Yeah. The other thing was he failed. Like there was just so much failure on the way there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why... No, I'm not going to say. I don't want to cut any part of this podcast out. I did that so often in the first part of podcasting was like I'd watch the podcast after I'd done it and I'd be like, oh, I can't say that. And they're probably the funniest moments of podcasting.
Yeah.
And, well, for me at least. And I really fucked my audience on that.
Yeah.
It's like, look at this bland podcast. No, it wasn't bland. I just took out the 11 herbs and spices, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's that old saying, I was talking about this in my YouTube video I was just mentioning, where if you try and appeal to everyone, eventually it's going to appeal to no one.
Yeah.
There needs to be something that they resonate with.
Yeah.
There has to be people that don't like Coke to like Pepsi, right?
Yeah. I agree with that.
Then they're fucking weirdos.
Yeah. You gotta have the racist to realize there's good white people. Maybe cut that out.
I was going to say, can't have I'm on my third podcast this month and I'm getting cancelled.
Cancelled already. Why are you doing so many podcasts?
Well, I've found, and I'm trying to become a better speaker.
Are you doing the Andrew Tate?
No, I'm trying to become a better speaker, but also I do like cigars. Bugatti would be nice. But I'm trying to become a better speaker, and actually the best way to do it is feedback. So, for example, when I was trying to learn chess, that was my hyperfixation of the month.
Yeah, what the fuck happened to that?
Yeah, it was hyperfixation. I got ADHD, bro.
Okay.
Makes sense. And so when we were learning chess, we do these like 45, I think we're doing 2 1-hour Zoom calls where he'd just go through all of my chess.com games and just give me feedback on each of my moves and go, okay, you're consistently making this kind of error. For the next games this week, you're going to make this kind of move instead. But it's based off of feedback, right? And so the reason I'm doing all these podcasts is 1, it helps with the YouTube. 2, it helps me with the content. 3, it just helps me reach more of my audience. But it also just personally, the selfish interest is I can get better at speaking. Because I'm going to, what I actually do is I did it recently with a recent podcast. I don't know how I came up with the idea, but I was like, oh, this is a really good idea. I got the transcript from YouTube, and I just copied and pasted it into ChatGPT, and I said, act as my speaking coach. I want you to find all of my filler words, how many times I said them, and then suggest more articulate replacements. And so, for example, I would say like or anyway, or whenever I say or I need to just pause and sit and think about it. I've got a speaking coach now, actually. I just started with her. Well, I start with her in 2 weeks. I'm in Fiji next week, so we start the week afterwards. I sent out an email to my whole WE databases. It worked out, but now I have a lot of emails to reply to, and I said, I'm trying to find, I sent it to like 15,000 people. I'm trying to find someone to work one-on-one alongside with. It's going to be cheap as hell because I need a case study. And basically, I'm going to work with you for everything. The offer, I'm going to write your sales script. We're going to do mock runs of your sales process. I'm going to watch your call recordings. I'm going to build your funnel. I'm going to run your ads. I'm going to build your business, or at least build on your business, and fucking at least double it, right? And I said, if you're interested, just reply, tell me about your business. And I got 500 replies.
Oh, no.
I haven't replied to all of them yet. And one of them said, I'm a speaking coach. And
Beautiful.
She's in WA. I go, I want to speak to you right now. And so I got on the phone with her 15 minutes later, or immediately, actually.
Her name's not Patricia, is it?
No, it's Deanna.
Okay, right.
Yeah, Deanna Cooney. And she's a speaking coach at Whopper. She typically helps voiceover coaches, but she works with
fantastic.
Yeah, but she teaches, works with business owners that want to get better at presenting on stage. She talks with salespeople that want to be more influential and more persuasive. And reached out to her. I said, look, we came up with a profit split agreement, and I said, but I want to do the program for free. And so now we're just working one-on-one. We had a meeting yesterday. She said, this is the first thing I need to do. And she said, I said, what do you want me to do between now and then? Because I like homework, right? I don't just want it to be in our thing. Give me shit to do and I'll do it.
You want to hyperfixate?
Yeah, I want to hyperfixate this fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, it's a 3-pronged audit. So you do a visual audit, which is, I'm going to rewatch this podcast, turn the audio off, and just see what I'm doing with my hands, or if I'm slumped, or if I'm sat up straight, and things like that. And just write down things I noticed, but without any value attachment. So I'm not going to say I slumped over, that's bad, because then it gets hard to undo, which is what she taught me anyway. And then the second audit will be an audio audit, which is I'll
You're making me aware of my fucking slump.
You get
bitch.
super nervous, right? Like I'm doing all the stuff. I'm literally right now taking mental notes of all the things she told me to notice as I'm sitting.
Yeah.
Like
I'm gonna fucking correct my posture now that you're talking about
yeah,
this shit.
yeah.
Sorry, Deanna.
And then she told me to do audio one, and then second one is the audio one, which is listen to it without video, and then just notice what I'm saying and just write down things that I notice.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one is just the actual words. So just get the transcript and find filler words and look at it that way. And then just write down things that I'm noticing. And so that's the selfish interest. So I can be more articulate and persuasive, and it bleeds into everything as well. Like one of the benefits I was talking to her about it with her yesterday was it will affect all your other areas of life. You'll be able to communicate with partners better. You'll be able to communicate with clients better, staff members better. It bleeds into everything because you speak for your entire life. So it influences your entire life.
Yeah, it's true. I remember I talked to my mum after I was in real estate for like 6 months. And I hadn't talked to her in ages, just because I was just like you, hyper fixated on this one thing that was really doing my head in. And eventually I got there. I talked to her and she's like, "You're a different person." And I was like, "Yeah, I kind of had to kill old Jacob to become this version of myself." And I think that we do that in everyday life as well. You know, like, but we do it in micro sessions where you're like, "Oh, I just had an epiphany. Let's not do that anymore."
Yeah.
And to be reflective of yourself and not having a negative outlook, because you're like, "Oh, that's old Brandon. Let me not think badly about him. Let me accept it and change it."
Yeah, exactly. I always like looking into nature for truths in life, because nature's been around for an eternity, so the sample size of data is pretty statistically significant. And the purpose of any species has always been to evolve. It's always had to get better.
Yes.
And so you can look at that most people will just look
Especially
at that.
Jews. Just kidding.
Most people will just look at that across millennia as like evolution, but they won't look at evolution in terms of day to day and week to week and month to month and year to year and like seasons of life. And so if you can at least look back, it's like when it's a little bit akin to as my replacement word for it's a bit like now I'm going to be self-conscious this whole podcast. It's akin to you probably look back at your first podcast and go, "Oh, I ummed and ahed a lot, or I interrupted, or I didn't let the speak enough, or I didn't ask a good question here."
Too stoned.
But it's the whole point, right? It's your first one. It's like it has to be, theoretically, the worst one that you ever do, and so it's all uphill from there. But it needs to be based off of feedback, so you can look back at your previous podcast episodes, or at least rewatch them and go, okay, I can do better for this next podcast. I've actually noticed you've actually done. I mean, it's been 2 years since I did the last one, but you started. I've noticed this has been a better podcast than your first one, because you've obviously done this 109 times.
More like 140. I've just lost like 30.
Oh, really?
Remember we did one and I lost the fucking audio for it.
Yeah.
And the video, I was using an iPhone at the time and it turned off. Yeah. So I learned from that.
You learned from that?
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to throw 10 grand at this bitch and make sure that never happens again.
But yeah, I always look to nature and go, evolution is basically the purpose of any species, but you can chunk that down to just people in their everyday lives and their day-to-day activities, rather than just going, "Oh yeah, we used to be, cavemen and now we're people." But you can look at that on a day-to-day thing, and then at least you can control your own life and have happen to life rather than have life happen to you.
Are you the black sheep in your family, or do you have other people like this?
I'm an only child. But
Well, obviously.
What gave it away?
Self-obsessed. No, I'm kidding. No, I was asking, was your dad? Is your dad? Do you exhibit traits of your father or your mother? Because you are quite empathetic. You care about people, but you're very on your game at all times.
Yeah, I think I think the trait I carry over from my mother the most is that I talk a lot.
That's not a bad thing.
And sometimes it will get me into trouble. It gets someone in trouble at work sometimes. She mentions it. From my dad, I think I get the work ethic. No, I think I get the work ethic comes as a mix of both of my parents. But black sheep, I don't know, it's subjective. I think so. Not sure.
You have cousins?
I have cousins.
Any of them kind of similar to you?
It's difficult to say because all my cousins are... My dad doesn't talk to any of his side of the family. But my mum's side, mum's from the Philippines, and so we're slowly immigrating over my whole family. Every time I rock up to my parents' house, this is a new Filipino in a spare room somewhere. And so it's a little bit hard. It's a little bit hard to say because we don't hang out particularly very much. Like we'll see each other at, you know, family events and things like that. But I don't like. I mean, I don't speak to many people at all. But I don't get to hang out with them too much. So I don't get to see a correlation there. But I think if I was to look at the general arc of, you know, trying to improve and working hard, I think there's definitely some correlations there at least.
Well, they say that every generation is like the next step of movement into wealth or economic growth, right? It's like if you walked to work, your son will ride a bicycle, and then if you rode a bicycle, that son would drive a car, and then Ferrari, and then eventually it would end up, I guess, in the situation we're in now.
Yeah, exactly. At least if someone in the family bloodline doesn't fuck things up. So
that happens quite often. You know why? Because heroin's amazing. It's so much easier to smoke heroin.
So much easier to just be a heroin addict from the 80s and read a Slash autobiography.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could have died on coke.
I should be dead.
You should be.
I should be dead 100%.
Yeah, but you aren't, and you're the zombified version. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, you're the what do you call it? What happened when Superman fucking got the kryptonite? Like, cocaine is pretty much kryptonite to anybody that wants to do well in any industry. Other than fucking stockbrokers or some shit, you know. Like,
I was laughing at when we did the industry set panel talk. What was it, 2 weeks ago, or something like that? We all got asked to introduce ourselves, and I'm like, my name's Brandon. Not sure why I got invited. Used to DJ as a Willco. You either die a DJ or you live long enough to become a corporate sellout. Despite my best efforts, it turns out I'm immortal.
Yeah, that's sick. I like that. So how long have you been doing the industry set thing for now?
Industry set's been around since September 2022 when Jackson and I started it, and it's really quite
Axon,
yeah. It's grown quite a lot. It was honestly just a side hustle at the start. And much like anything I do, it's kind of grown. And now we've got 7 or 8 staff in 2 different continents. So it's kind of taking off now. Like, I've got a sales rep in the US, Joseph, who found me from my YouTube, actually. He's going to do really well. Mates Mason and Fraser are sales reps in Australia. Jackson's head instructor. And we've got Jackson's head instructor. We've got 2 other instructors as well. One in the US and one in Brazil, and then one in Sydney.
Talk about drive from Jackson, man. He went through a lot of pain last year and still came out on top.
That dude just works. That's all he does.
Yeah. Shout out to that dude.
Bro, I've never seen a dude hustle so fucking hard.
I've never met him, by the way. I just know his work ethic from the way he handles things.
I have stories about him that I'll tell you after the podcast of exactly how hard he works. It's just I don't want to say it on this podcast. It's a little bit personal. I don't want to bring it up for him. But
no, fair.
I literally have stories where I'm like, you shouldn't be working right now.
Chill.
At all. Like, it's like, and he'd like apologize for taking a day off. I'm like, bro,
you can tell me to fuck myself right now.
Yeah. I'm like, bro, take a month off considering what you're going through right now. It's fine.
Yeah.
That dude just works.
It's a different breed, bro. But I think it's also like when you see a little bit of purpose in something, you want to get it done. You're like, exactly. I want to see where this goes. Oh, this is like a baby that I'm fucking trying to grow, and if I don't work, it doesn't grow. Yeah, it's not like a human; they just grow anyway.
Yeah, I've noticed that with anything that I've been, and you're noticing with this podcast as well. You mentioned before, I'm noticing. Anyone will notice, and I know it to be true that anything that you find purpose in, it's very difficult to. The circumstances to get burnt out are very slim.
Yes.
So, for example, like right now, I work from the moment I woke up, because when I have a sales rep in the US, and so as soon as I wake up, I check my phone and check in on him. That's literally the first thing I do. I wake up at 5 a.m. I roll over. I check Slack. Joseph Hat's probably just done a couple of sales calls, and I'm talking to him while I'm having my pre-work, and then I go to the gym. I'm probably still talking to him at the gym, and then I talk to him after the gym, and then I go to work, and then I finish at 11.
Yeah, okay. Where's he at?
He's in Chicago.
Okay, so he's 9 hours?
He's 13 hours behind
13,
us.
okay.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. Well, that's kind of good though, right? Because if you're waking up at 5, that's what
6. It's 4 p.m. for him.
4 p.m.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and then so I'll leave the office at 5 or 6, and then I'll get home, and then I'm like, okay, I want to work on the YouTube channel now, so I have dinner quickly, and then I'll just download podcasts I've been on and things like that, and just start clipping it up for short form content. I'm having my nice little cigar on the balcony and relaxing while I'm working.
Yeah.
And then I'll start posting that, and I'll start writing YouTube video scripts or concepts or ideas, and then I'll close my laptop, and then I'll go to bed.
It's probably the best way to do it, right? You're structured all the way through, purpose-driven all the way fucking through your day. Like, I wish I had that right now. Like, subsequently, from blowing a bunch of fucking money last year because of health reasons, I couldn't work and all that stuff, I managed to cure myself of a disease that's uncurable. Yeah, I used peptides and steroids.
Fuck yeah.
Awesome. I approve this message. And then, yeah, now I've kind of like... I've split, and I have because I've got a baby on the way as well. I've purpose-driven my workload, and then I have this as an outlet for fun, entertainment, and purpose.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
It's like I was talking on another podcast where I was saying no one's ever burnt out playing Minecraft. They just really like playing Minecraft.
Correct.
So if you can look at your own life as a little 8-bit game where you're punching trees and trying to build a little house for yourself, you can get a little bit more fun and exciting that way.
That's what Tate says too, right? Like, everyone wants to play GTA.
Yeah, it's like, my life, what does he say? My life is GTA.
His life is GTA. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'm a little bit more beta because I like Minecraft. Can't build supercars and SF90s and
well, you can't build a universe in fucking GTA.
Man, I'm so fucking excited for that game to come out. I don't play games at all, but I think...
GTA 6?
Yeah, I don't... Like, I haven't played a video game at all, even though I have a gaming PC, which I rage bought.
What is it?
What, my PC?
Yeah, MSI or...
I literally have... I think so, maybe. My laptop crashed twice in a day, and I, like, rage impulse bought this gaming PC.
Sick.
Yeah, and so I was just like, "Fuck this!" And
You're playing chess on the bitch.
Yeah, I'm literally just like this fucking $3,000 computer, and I'm playing chess.com. So
it never lags though.
At least it's 4K.
Yeah. Sick.
But I don't play games very much. But I think I need to get a PS5. Is the one we're up to now, right?
Yeah, PS5.
Yeah, I need to get a PS5.
But I think there's a PS5 second edition coming out soon.
What does that do?
It's like an upgraded RAM or some shit like that. I think they're designing GTA 6 for a little bit higher level than what PS5 can handle. Yeah, I think that's why they took so long between 5 and 6. It's been like 14 years, bro.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Oh, it's a Grand Theft Auto, the PlayStations? Both, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting that we've come to that point where... Did you ever seen the advert for GTA 6?
Yeah, hell yeah.
It looks like downtown Los Angeles.
Have you seen the leaks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go to the strip club in it.
I'm very excited to go to the strip club in it. Because I remember
Do you get VR? You get a VR and a fucking Japanese sex
do
doll.
Do we have VR now? Is that a thing? I'm
Yeah.
so out of the loop, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, VR porn's out.
Oh, fuck yeah.
That's insane.
Why no one tell me?
Yeah, I know, dude. It's fucking crazy. The only thing is, like, the smell isn't a thing yet. They just need a pungent fucking pump.
Wasn't there a device? I think it was reviewed on that Marquez Brownie YouTube channel, you know, the Apple guy.
Yeah.
It was a thing where it was like a headset, but then it also had like a ventilation thing. You seen that?
Really?
Yeah. It was like the weirdest device you'd ever
Smell-o-vision?
Yeah, and it was meant to purify air too.
With the smell? VR headset with smell. The new VR headsets can release up to 30 different scents to use paraffin wax mixed with perfume. The headset can change smells within 1.5 seconds and will greatly enhance immersive experiences.
You know what would be great? That would be great for...
What?
For,
Not so much anal. Anal porn.
Well, I was going to talk about perfume ads.
Same thing.
You know what's funny?
Scat porn.
Whenever I'm teaching people like marketing or sales or influence or persuasion, I always have to give the little talk that, you know, the brain has two systems of thinking. It's either thinking logically, which is fast, or it's thinking emotionally, which is significantly faster. And you want all of your copy in your ads and your content in your ads and how you speak to people to speak to their green brain. And that's why, and rather than just like the features of the thing, right? It's meant to be how does the result of this feature make me feel, and you speak to that. But the funniest thing you can ever watch to drive the example home is look at perfume or cologne ads, because you can't on TV show the smell of the cologne. And so all the cologne and perfume ads, it is a bunch of hot models
bitches
in Europe partying, and you want to be there, and you feel like you're missing out. And then the cologne is just like the bottle, it's like the last second and a half of the 3-minute ad.
Yeah, or it's a really hot car if they're selling a male perfume. And it's a guy in a suit in like Sicily, and you're like, I wish I was that guy.
Yeah, it's like that old joke. Did you ever watch Seinfeld?
Yeah, of course. Dude, I'm watching through it right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love Seinfeld. Remember when he gets upgraded to business class and he's sitting next to the model and she's going through the magazine and she's like, oh yeah, that's me. And he goes, what's it for? It's like, see those jeans in the background out of focus?
It's exactly that.
It's exactly like that.
Yeah. Seinfeld's fucking amazing. Have you seen The Unfrosted, the new movie that Jerry Seinfeld's just brought out on Netflix?
No, I haven't seen any movies or TV shows in a while. My TV
That's probably a good sign.
I have a TV. It half works. The video doesn't work, but the audio does, so just everything's a podcast now. I can't be fucked replacing
So
it.
it's just the stereo.
Yeah.
With a giant LED screen that just doesn't work.
Doesn't turn on.
Whoa.
It's been like that for like
Maybe
8
I
months.
might get you a TV for your birthday.
I don't. Things are working out for me. Everyone keeps asking. Like, no. It's because I can't do anything. That's what we were talking about before. I get home, I can't watch anything.
It's probably a good thing if you could just put a little bit of noise on. You have the most insane home speakers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You have like Adam Audio.
I don't know what they are.
Yeah, they're like the same as that. Adam Audio. These are studio speakers, but you have the ones turned on the sides and have the 3 speakers in them.
Yeah.
Do you know what they're used for?
Nah.
They're like a DJ Khaled level producing speakers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's just
I'm listening
home.
to the Wii music on them. No, you know what happened? You know why I got it? Because when we were, I was going to relaunch the Institute because, I don't know, I had 3 hours spare in my week. And so I was going to relaunch this business. And I was like, you know what, we'll build a studio as well. And I was going to get this office across the road from my old Wickham Street office in East Perth. And it was spare, so I was like, oh, okay, that'll be good. I have a digital advertising agency on this side of the street, and there's a music studio and a DJ school on this side of the street. And I was like, we're going to build the best studio in Perth. Like, I'm not doing anything in halves. And Harrison Flashcult used to live in the building next door to my old office. And I told him, you're in charge of building the studio. Find me all the shit I got to buy. Send me the link. And so one time I was driving and he messages me and he goes, you got to get these speakers, it's such a good deal, like it should be like $3,000 or $4,000 more expensive, go do the thing. I go, message him then, put in an offer. And he replies back 2 minutes later, he goes, oh, someone already bought it. I go, fuck the other guy, offer more money. And then I go up 500. And so he like offered more money, go, tell him I'll come over with cash now. And then we ended up going tomorrow anyway. And then went up and picked up the speakers. And then those are the speakers. And then I decided not to build a studio now that it's sitting in my living room.
That's so retarded.
The most overpowered. I think there's only like 2 in Perth, and I'm pretty sure Shock One's the other one.
Yeah. That makes a lot of fucking sense. Those speakers are so intense, dude. Like, I remember coming to your house. I was like, these are your living room speakers, bro? These are the ones that I dreamt of getting for my music studio. I was like, what the fuck, bro? What the hell is going on here? But look, if you're going to do anything, you do it fucking radical, right?
Well, yeah, they were just sitting there, and then we didn't build a studio. I'm like, well, I might as well just use them. I mean, they were a business expense in the end. But
Yeah, of course, yeah. Was it a deduction off your company?
I think so, yeah. I paid for the institute.
That's sick. That's sick. Look, I bought a bunch of things for the podcast, and I realized the podcast wasn't making any money, so I just had to pay for that shit myself.
You registered as a company for the podcast yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But it doesn't make any money.
Oh, is that the rule? I'm not a tax guy.
No, it's not the rule. You can have a business.
Oh.
It just fails.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but let's see. I'll probably shut down the fucking ACN, to be honest, because I don't really need it. I can just run as a sole trader, but it is what it is. That's the thing, bro. I'm not doing this to make money. Yeah. I'm doing this because, A, I love talking to my friends. Yeah. B, if you got some cool shit, I have a pretty broad audience. Like, that's the thing, is I have 1,600 subscribers on YouTube, 2,300 on Instagram, and like 100 on Spotify. Or no, 200 on Spotify. But Spotify does the best.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got like 6,000 monthly listeners on Spotify.
Interesting.
Which is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know how the fuck that works.
I don't know how Spotify works.
It's Germans though, right?
I'm a failed electronic music producer. That's Spotify.
Do you know who's not failing right now?
Who's that?
Don Darko.
I was thought you were going to say that name, yeah.
Quincy.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Every time I like see a new video, I'm like, what animated bullshit has he put his face on this time?
It's just the most... I never thought I'd see the day where I'd see a piece of multimedia that truly reflected what his brain is like.
Yeah. Scattered as fuck.
I watched it, I'm like, what the fuck?
It's an astronaut running on a rainbow.
It changes every 0.15 seconds.
Yeah.
The frame rate isn't high enough to keep up with this.
It's like AI's created most of it.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's cool.
Yeah, he started with his... I mentioned this story. I don't know if I mentioned this story with you before, but we were all trying to work out TikTok at the same time, like me and Jackson and Quincy. And this is why I tell new producers or new DJs or new club promoters to team up, because you will learn faster. If you're trying to do a 1v1, you're going to lose. If you get in a street fight, you at least want at least two of your boys with you, right? And we were all trying to learn TikTok, and we just literally just all got on Zoom on Thursdays at 3 p.m. and just looked at everyone's analytics, and then we all learned substantially faster than if we were to try and go at it ourselves. Because if one of us won, all of us won. Yeah. So if I found something and went, oh, this worked for me, and then everyone would try it and it would work for them. Quincy found something that worked, oh, this worked for me, everyone else would try it, and that would work for him. And I remember the funniest story, I always love telling this story, it's typical Quincy. When he first got a couple of TikToks that had like 10 or 25,000 views, I was at his house and I was drinking. And I was like, sweet, like, you're on a roll now here, man. Like, how long did that take you to do? Let's get more up. And he goes, oh, it takes me like a week to make them. I'm like, why? He goes, well, I got to make the song, and then I got to make film the video, then I got to edit the video, and then, so it takes me a week. I'm like, but you post 15 seconds of the song. Yeah. Just make the 15 seconds and post that. And he goes, oh, Quincy's voice, oh, true. And then he was posting every day, and that's when he got his volume up. And again, it reiterates the point that I was making before, that at the start, you just want to focus on volume and just do as many as you can, because when you started getting more out, or when I started getting more out, when you start getting more episodes out, you've got more data and analytics to look back on. You've actually got feedback rather than just a hypothesis that hasn't been tested yet. Yes.
Yeah. I think a lot of people just are running in the darkness. You know, and they don't know what to fucking... But you just need that first step, right? Yeah. I call... It's how do I even explain it? It's not knowing shit is like being in a massive dark room with infinite amount of turned off lights. And as soon as you learn something, it gives you a little bit of, and then more lights you turn on, you realize this fucking room's never going to end. And like that, maybe that's wisdom, right? The more you know, the less you think you know.
Yeah, and it becomes about, rather than just being I know this one thing really well, you can kind of start doing quantum learning where you see how everything connects. So for example, with me, with marketing, I can see how it influences sales. I can see how it influences my offer. I can see how it influences my copy, how my copy relates to my content. I can see how all the nodes start connecting with each other, and then you can have a deeper understanding of things. And then you can even start making connections between like influence and personal development, and how you can influence yourself into doing things. And so as you have a broader wisdom, like you were saying, you can understand anything at a deeper level rather than just going... So for example, if I was to look back at any of my podcasts even 2 years ago, the answers were relatively shallow in depth because I was just going in at one dimension. Whereas now, at least I hope so anyway, I can give a broader, I can talk to different dimensions, and I can link. perfect example just then. I talked about Quincy and I linked it back to a point that I made previously. It was completely different, right? And I hope that in a year's time or 2 years' time, whenever I do another podcast, whether it's this or another one, I can compare it to the answers I was giving today and go, I've added a fourth dimension to my responses that weren't there in 2024. And that all just comes from deeper understanding and trying to have a broader wisdom of things. So rather than just reading sales books, for example, you'd read sales and marketing and influence and personal development, and you have a broader understanding of a lot of different topics, and you can start drawing correlations between all of them.
And it's the awareness of use, though.
Yep.
As well.
Exactly. And so I was like saying there's equity in knowledge, there's liquidity in action.
Ooh. Yeah. Because you can't monetize thought. You can monetize action for sure. Yeah, I like that. Should we end it on that?
I think that's a good ending point.
That's a good ending point. How can people get in touch with you? What's your YouTube struggling channel?
My struggling YouTube channel. If you'd like to be my 1,036th subscriber.
So you've hit 1,000 now.
Hit 1,000.
Hey.
Yeah.
Sick.
Took me long enough. And not like I'm counting. And if you want to be my 1,036th subscriber, it's just Brandon Willington on YouTube. My Instagram is Willco.nlychild, like Willco.nlychild. Those are the main. I'm sure you'll link them in this thing as well.
Yes, of course I will. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Roadshow. I hope you enjoyed this one. We got 110 coming up next. It's just like this one, to be honest. They're progressively getting better, though. I'm not going to lie.
Evolution. We'll talk about before.
It's evolution. Bye.
Take me home.